from RedZone Weather. This is a severe weather alert.
Parts of Mobile and Baldwin counties now under a tornado warning until 2 p.m. on this Thursday afternoon. Good Thursday afternoon to you. I'm meteorologist Spinks Megginson. Here's your tornado warning, and this is a bit unexpected today. We have not had any severe weather issues thus far. We're not expecting widespread severe weather today, but one of the storms here very near a highly populated area has ramped up to the point where the National Weather Service has chosen to issue a tornado warning that is valid until 2 o'clock. This includes areas near downtown Mobile and Pritchard. That's where the possible tornado is right now, and it's moving off to the east over here toward the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta, and it's ultimately likely to approach areas near Bromley, north of Spanish Fort, in about 30 minutes. So again, a tornado warning just issued for parts of central Mobile County and central Baldwin County on this Thursday afternoon. The convective outlook this morning remains valid. We have no formal severe weather risk today, but again, weather is unpredictable, and this is one of those situations where we have had a storm ramp up to the point where it could be producing a tornado right over Pritchard. And so again, the call to action is if you are in Pritchard or areas near Chickasaw or downtown Mobile, we need you to get to a tornado safe place right now. Don't wait. Again, current time is 1:43 p.m. and we're not expecting this across the region today, but this storm has really ramped up over the last few minutes. We will look at the velocity data on this to show you that the Weather Service, I think, made the right call because there was a couplet on radar moments ago that ramped up to the point where in their assessment they have issued this tornado warning. So let's go ahead and go over there, and I think that you'll be able to see this a bit more clearly. Here's the velocity on it, and we'll stop it. And this area right in through here, you see the green here and the red here, that is an atmospheric indication of a potential tornado very near Pritchard, moving off to the east just like that. And so the good news is this is going to clear out of the populated areas in a matter of moments. But again, I can't stress enough, if you are near Interstate 165, which is the spur in Pritchard all the way back down to, it connects it to downtown Mobile, we need you to get to your tornado safe place, as this possible tornado that's basically right in through here is moving just like that. And so again, on that trajectory, this thing is going to pass north of Spanish Fort. So if you're in Spanish Fort, you are okay. If you are along Alabama Highway 225 north of Spanish Fort, between the interstate and Spanish Fort, no driving right now. Near Bromley State Park, near the community of Bromley, you've also got the community right here of Crossroads, which is north of Bromley there on 225. No driving on State Highway 225. This is south of the interstate, so this is not going to be an issue for Interstate 65. If you're traveling northbound or southbound along the Dolly Parton Bridge, you are okay. This is a very small tornado warning polygon. Let's actually go back to the traditional radar, and you'll see that this is a situation where the storm is basically right over the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta. Just to give you some geographical context here, this is Interstate 10 right here. Downtown Mobile sits under the word Mobile right there, and I think that from the Africatown Cochran Bridge north is going to be the area that has the greatest concern from this possible tornado out here. This is going to pass north of the Bluegill, north of R&R there on the causeway. If you are at the causeway, you are not included in this tornado warning. This is for areas to the north, out here over the swampy marshlands of the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta north of Mobile Bay. Again, here's Interstate 65. The Dolly Parton Bridge is here, Creola is here, Sareland's here, Satsuma's here, Chickasaw is right here, and Pritchard is right here. So again, the possible tornado is near Pritchard or perhaps just to the east of Pritchard, now out over the swampland of the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta, and it's moving just like that. So again, the good news is this is going to be away from most people in that highly populated area of Mobile in a matter of moments. We've zoomed in pretty tight here on the radar, and again, just to kind of set you up of where we are, this is Interstate 65, this curvy, thicker line right here. That's going to be 165 right here. That is the Africatown Cochran Bridge right here. Downtown Mobile is here. This is Interstate 10. The battleship sits right there. So this is north of the battleship. This is really north of the core of downtown Mobile. And if you're in West Mobile or even Midtown, you are okay. This is not for really any part of Mobile County to the west of Pritchard. This is for areas here near the large manufacturing and port facilities here in Mobile. Again, the Africatown Cochran Bridge is the most notable landmark right there of where this possible tornado could be, and it's moving like that. So not very many people out here in all. This is the southern stretches of the Mobile-Tensas River Delta. Interstate 10 is here, the causeway is here, so that would be the Bayway. And again, if you're in Spanish Fort or you're at Spanish Fort Elementary School, you're okay. This is not for you. The polygon is to your north. However, we do encourage folks that may be driving this afternoon on Alabama Highway 225, which is the main connector there in the western half of Baldwin County between Spanish Fort and the interstate. No driving right now from, say, the railroad and crossroads back down to Spanish Fort. Again, Bromley is here. Bromley State Park is right in through here. Those areas potentially under the gun in about 20 minutes as this thing crosses the river delta and heads into Baldwin County. Let's actually switch sources and look at the velocity on this. And clearly the couplet is predominantly out here over this very rural part of the delta. And I say rural, it's very near Mobile, but again, what happens is when you cross the Mobile River out in through here, this is all swampland. And so if you happen to know someone that may be fishing or for whatever reason is out in this swampland north of the causeway, you call them and you let them know that they are now under an active tornado warning. Let's look at the entire region to show you what's going on. And we'll switch our swords back to the traditional reflectivity product. And really across the region, there is not much going on. I tell you what, that tornado warning polygon is just very, very tiny. And that is the beauty of the polygon system. Counties are big, tornadoes are small in the grand scheme of things. And so this is not going to be a long duration tornado event. It's a very small polygon that's in effect until 2 p.m. for parts of central Mobile and central Baldwin counties. And I think in about 5 minutes, if you're in Pritchard, I'll be able to give you an all clear. You can see that we do have storms happening near Brooklyn. You've also got storms down here near Gulf Breeze and Navarre. These are under severe limits. Showers also forming in the northern part of Escambia County, Florida, near Walnut Hill, north of Molino. Those are under severe limits. These storms back in Mississippi are producing some lightning, but the good news is those remain under severe limits as well. So again, the only major concern that we have on this Thursday afternoon is this tornado warning that continues until 2 o'clock, so the next 10 minutes for parts of central Mobile and Baldwin counties. Let me stress again, this thing is not going to affect Fairhope. It's not going to affect Daphne, Silver Hill, Robertsdale, areas near Gulf Shores, Foley. Not for you. Even Bay Minette. Bay Minette is not included in this tornado warning that is on the board until 2 o'clock. Based on the signature, though, I will say that the velocity couplet is still intact. And I tell you, it really may have kind of strengthened over the last few frames. Let's loop this and see what triggered the warning. Right in through there, that right there, that blob is likely what triggered this tornado warning, as the Weather Service in their assessment did the right thing. I mean, when you see something like that on the radar, especially near a highly populated area, you've got to issue the tornado warning. And so I think they did a really good job of going ahead and getting the warning out. Let's go back to the reflectivity source here. And let me also mention as well, again, the deal is this is coming out of Mobile County, but it's going into the central part of Baldwin County. And so if you're just now tuning in, the current time is 1:51 p.m. I'm meteorologist Spinks Megginson. Got a tornado warning. We're not expecting many of these, if any more today. But the deal is this has ramped up over the last few minutes, and we have a possible tornado right in through here. You can kind of see the kidney bean shape on radar right there. And the back flank of this right in through here is where your possible tornado would be if there indeed is one down. I would imagine in the next few minutes, because this is very near a highly populated area, that we will probably get some indication from the causeway. I tell you, if you are traveling on the Bayway or Causeway this afternoon, you are not included in this tornado warning polygon. However, if you look off to your north, you very well may see a tornado there in the distance over this swampland. There's not very many trees out here because this is all the rivers, the Tensaw, the Mobile River, and the Middle River flowing into Mobile Bay. So again, perhaps a pretty good vantage point there of what could be a possible tornado coming into Baldwin County over the next few minutes. And by the way, I'm watching the comments in the Facebook live stream to see if we have any reports of damage. I'm not seeing that. The signature on radar is certainly supportive of a potential tornado, but it is likely not supportive of a strong, violent tornado. This is probably going to be a weaker tornado, but as I often say, if a tornado affects you, it's obviously a big deal. And just to recap, if you are in Bromley, the threat has shifted now over the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta, and for folks north of Spanish Fort on Highway 225 in the western part of Baldwin County, this is what you need to be doing right now. Lowest floor, site-built structure away from windows and doors, putting as many walls as you possibly can between you and the outside world. You want to protect your head. And again, the call to action is for the folks in and near Bromley, near Alabama Highway 225 there north of Spanish Fort. If you live near that state park, you do something about it. And even though this tornado is likely to weaken before it gets to you, you still have to respect this warning and do the right thing as this possible tornado moves off to the east. And I tell you, we just got a report in from the Storm Prediction Center. They are upping the severe weather risk today into the level 1 out of 5 marginal severe weather risk. And so what that means is we'll have to look at the map in a second to see where they're going to put that. But I think that's probably a good call. I think the atmosphere, based on the situation that we are looking at now with this one tornado warning, is probably a little more unstable than originally was forecast. We weren't, forecasting tornado warnings or anything like that today as soon as this morning. But now, because the atmosphere is sort of destabilized over the last few hours, this is a deal where we have a tornado potentially moving towards Bromley through the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta as of 1:54 p.m. And let me stress again, Central Mobile, Central Baldwin counties, near Pritchard, near Bromley. Those are really the only areas under the gun from this possible tornado. Very tiny, tiny polygon. I'm a big fan of the Weather Service issuing these tiny polygons because it keeps the folks in the warning who are under danger. But if you're not, that's the beauty of it. You are not under a tornado warning if you're in Bay Minette, if you're in Fairhope, Foley, Loxley, Theodore, Tillman's Corner, Dawes, St. Elmo, areas near Chinchula, Mount Vernon, Creola. You are not under a tornado warning. This is strictly for areas near Bromley and Pritchard. This doesn't even include downtown Mobile at this point. The threat has clearly passed downtown Mobile, and I tell you, really the threat has ended in Pritchard. And so let's say 2 more minutes and I'll be able to give you a firm all clear if you are in Pritchard or downtown Mobile. This thing has really ramped up though. That almost looks like a debris ball on radar. I don't think it is, but nonetheless, that is certainly a concerning signature. Let's actually go over to the correlation coefficient there. And I can't see really anything on that view. So tell you what, let's actually go to our iPad and you'll see this is a better view of this storm. What we look for when you see all these colors, this is called correlation coefficient. And what the radar is doing, it's determining how similar the objects are that it's scanning in the clouds. In other words, the hydrometeors or precipitation. And I don't see anything on this specific product at the moment that would suggest debris being lofted into the sky. Although, again, because we have this active tornado warning that continues for central Baldwin County, north of Spanish Fort and south of areas near crossroads. We need folks in Bromley to remain in that tornado-safe place. Again, lowest floor of a site-built structure away from windows and doors, putting as many walls as you possibly can between you and the outside world. I also note that the Storm Prediction Center has just issued a mesoscale discussion. All right, we got now a video. Let's see if we can pull this up, because this is going to be a phenomenal video of what's going on. This is going to be from J8. And tell you what, while we look, I tell you, that is a classic hook echo on radar. This thing has really ramped up over the last few frames. And what I want to do is zoom out just a touch, because no doubt about it, if you are in Bromley, you've got to be doing something about it. That is a classic hook echo on radar. And while we look at that, I'm going to step up here and plug in a separate wire so that we can view this incredible video of this tornado that has just been sighted in areas north of the causeway there. And so bear with me while we pull that up. Again, the folks in Bromley along Alabama Highway 225 need to be getting in their tornado safe place right now. Again, lowest floor, site-built structure away from windows and doors. You want to put as many walls as you possibly can between you and the outside world. And if I go silent, again, just bear with me. And let's see if we can pull up this video for you. Again, I think it's going to be a situation where we have a pretty decent vantage point of this. Again, this situation, this possible tornado has now passed Mobile County. No doubt this is an issue for Baldwin County at this point. We can give Pritchard and downtown Mobile an all clear. This possible tornado has clearly passed to your north and east now. And again, the folks in Mobile and Pritchard can come out of that tornado hiding place. You don't have any issues at this point in those two locales. Again, what I'm doing is pulling up this video from J8's over on Facebook so that we can get a pretty good vantage point of this tornado. Current time is 1:59 p.m. We're about to get another tornado warning with this signature, no doubt, for Baldwin County. And so the deal is a new tornado warning is coming for Bromley and Stapleton and areas near Holly Hills over the next few minutes. This thing is rapidly moving off to the east, and it's a deal that no doubt we need no driving right now on Alabama Highway 225. Let's take this full and show you this tornado. If we can go ahead and do that, I tell you, I'm having, there we go, a little bit of trouble on our iPad. Here we go. All right, here's your tornado. We got a good view. Again, this is from J8's on Facebook. I'm watching this for the first time with you, and so let's just kind of watch together. This is a situation where your possible tornado looks to be right in through here. It's kind of hard to see, especially on this very dimly lit screen, but again, that looks to be some type of rotation, and this is now moving off to the east. So this has cleared out of Mobile, and this is moving into areas near Bromley, north of Spanish Fort there, along Alabama Highway 225. And this signature, man, oh man, on a day like today when the general thunderstorm zone is in effect, this is something that's pretty unprecedented. In my 5 years of doing this full time, I've never seen a tornado signature look like that when there was no formal severe weather risk in place for our area. So again, we want to thank J8's for the video we just saw. We'll come back to that in a minute. And I believe the Weather Service has actually let this tornado warning go off of the board. It's now 2:01 p.m. and I'm not seeing that extension, but we're definitely, with this signature, going to keep it here, as this is a respectable hook echo on radar. And while there is no formal warning in effect as of and there we go, we just got the new warning. It's just now coming on the board. And so again, Baldwin County now going under a new tornado warning, and this is going to be valid until 2:30 local time. So again, just like that, got a new tornado warning. And this is going to be for areas near Bromley. It looks like what they're doing is basically cutting out Mobile from this warning, and this is strictly a new tornado warning for areas near Bromley. Now, let's talk about the warning first. We'll turn the radar off, and you can see that areas near Spanish Fort are not included. So let me stress, if you are south of US Highway 31 in Spanish Fort, you've got the Rouse's Supermarket right there, areas near the Causeway, the Bluegill Restaurant, R&R. You've also got areas here near the Bass Pro Shop. All those areas that I just called out, you are fine. This tornado risk is clearly going to be to your north. However, we do encourage no driving on Alabama Highway 225 from Crossroads, which is where the railroad crosses Alabama Highway 225, all the way back down to Spanish Fort Elementary, which is on the north side of Spanish Fort right there. And by the way, the elementary school, let's zoom in, it is close to this warning polygon, but yeah, Spanish Fort Elementary is not included. I tell you, it's so close though that if the folks at Spanish Fort Elementary wanted to implement that tornado safety plan, I certainly wouldn't fault you for that because again, you are so close to that warning polygon, the southern edge of that any deviation, any deviation to the south of that track could potentially put it very near that elementary school. So I think as a course of least regret, I would implement that tornado safety plan if I'm at Spanish Fort Elementary and areas here along and north of the Rouse's Supermarket there in Spanish Fort. You've got all these little neighborhoods that have really been built in the last 20 years on 225 out near Bromley. And so if you live in one of those communities, beautiful homes out here in these communities on 225, this is a direct threat to you over the next few minutes as this possible tornado continues moving in from the west. The thing is moving off to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. And again, I really am very concerned with that signature. This is one of the best tornado signatures that I have seen in the last few months. And we've had several tornado events over the last few weeks in October. But this is no doubt a really prevalent tornado signature. Right in through here is where your possible tornado would be. And it's moving just like this. Let me also reiterate for the folks just tuning in, Mobile County, does not matter where you are. If you are in Mobile County, you are okay. The warning is now out of Mobile. This is out over the Mobile-Tensas River Delta, and it's moving into Baldwin County. This is currently out here over the marsh and swampland of the southern part of the Mobile-Tensas River Delta, north of the Causeway. And for the folks in Bromley, if you live within 5 miles of Bromley State Park, we need to put up what you need to be doing right now. Because again, I know that we do have folks in that area that watch us pretty frequently. And so Bromley, this is you. Lowest floor, site-built structure, put on a helmet. I know it looks funny. It can save your life. If you are in Bromley or near Bromley State Park, you absolutely do something about this tornado warning, as this is a very impressive signature. And I say impressive in terms of the radar presentation on this is very, very indicative of a possible tornado moving in right now. Here's the velocity on it, and you see the polygon. It's kind of hard to see, but that right there is your tornado warning polygon, and your concern is going to be this right here. So clearly this is going to be passing to the north of Spanish Fort, and again, Daphne, Montrose, Fairhope, Point Clear, Robertsdale, Silver Hill. This is not for you. It has nothing to do with you. Go about your business and don't worry about this unless you have interest here in Bromley or areas near Bromley State Park along Alabama Highway 225, as what could be a tornado right in through here is moving to the east. Let's go back over to our Facebook source, because we had a good video that was sent in by J8s on Facebook a minute ago. And I think that we'll be able to put this in motion for you to show what could be evidence of a tornado. Again, this was sent in on Facebook by J8s to us about, say, 10 minutes ago now. And it's certainly hard to see, but right in through here, when I'm looking down on the iPad display, it's a little bit easier to see. I see some swirling leaves or debris and what could be a funnel cloud right in through. And that right there, that could be the base of this tornado. You don't have to have a condensation funnel extending to the ground to have a tornado. You often see these swirls on the ground, and let's kind of watch this together. Right in through there, that could be your tornado. Again, shifting off to the east. This would obviously be a view facing the south as this tornado moves just like this to the east. And so, again, this is likely not going to be a large, violent tornado as much as it is a small spin-up tornado. But again, if that affects you, it's a big deal. And so, again, Bromley, we need you to take action right now as this possible tornado is moving in from the east. And if you have reports of damage or anything like that firsthand, please let us know. That is invaluable to us. And also, we appreciate J8s for sending the video that you just saw moments ago here on Facebook Live. And also, we're streaming in the RedZone weather app. And so if you happen to lose Facebook Live for whatever reason, you can always go into the RedZone weather app and get the very latest in terms of our live streaming coverage. Again, as I've been mentioning over the last few minutes, we have not been anticipating a widespread severe weather outbreak today. That is really not on the table. This is a low-end severe weather risk. And tell you what, let me actually pull up the latest convective outlook for you on our different source here. And yeah, the Storm Prediction Center has just actually added the marginal risk, and this is in place for our entire region. So let's go, and I say entire region, really the coastal part of our region. Here's your marginal risk. Let's zoom in, and you'll see that if you are in coastal Alabama or northwest Florida, this green zone is where you have a level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk in place for a few potential spin-up tornadoes over the next few hours. And so I realize we didn't have this morning. This is a bit unusual. Normally we'll get a morning update that shows this, but the Storm Prediction Center, even in their assessment, and they're the best scientists in the world, I should say, doing this stuff, they did not anticipate a significant severe weather risk. And that's really not in the cards today. This is going to be a situation where you have multiple, perhaps multiple tornado warnings over the next few hours. And I tell you, right in through there, that could be a bounded weak echo region, BWER. That could be a tornado moving into areas near Blakely State Park over the next few minutes, near the community of Bromley. This is going to cross Alabama Highway 225 in a matter of moments. So again, no travel north of Spanish Fort on 225 and south of Crossroads, as this is where you have a tornado warning polygon that continues until 2:30 local time. Let's go back over to the velocity view. Just got a new update on that. And this whole thing, this storm is spinning like a top. That signature is moving into Baldwin County. Here's your inbound flow here. This is your outbound flow. Possible tornado is going to be right where that green and red come together, right in through here, moving just like that. And so on that trajectory, this will be crossing Alabama Highway 225 in about 2 to 3, maybe even 4 minutes, depending on the speed of this tornado. And again, this is the only warning that we have across our region as of 2:10 p.m. Yes, there are storms over in Covington County. In fact, let's check these out to see how they're progressing. No rotation being observed here in this storm. Yes, there's heavy rain near Brooklyn. Yes, heavy rain near Luango. You've also got heavy rain coming into Andalusia, but that storm is under severe limits. Let's go back down to these storms in northwest Florida, and I'm just not seeing anything that would suggest severe weather happening in the northern part of Escambia County, Florida, or near Atmore. You are okay. The only issue, and I mean only issue, that we have clearly is this storm coming into Bromley and areas near Blakely State Park north of Spanish Fort. Here's your entire polygon. This is a very, very tiny tornado warning polygon, which is a good thing. Again, we are calling a danger zone for areas here near Bromley and Blakely State Park along 225, but this is going to pass north of Spanish Fort. And so again, the concern is north of Spanish Fort at this point, and there is no active tornado warning for areas near Spanish Fort. Again, I can just kind of show you that in action. Here's the Bayway, that thicker line that you see right here. That's the causeway This is US Highway 98 here that connects Spanish Fort down to Daphne. You've also got Montrose and Fairhope. But again, this tornado risk is north of there, north of the Rouse's supermarket right here, north of the area near the water tower there in Spanish Fort. This is all to the north out here towards Bromley and Blakely State Park with an active tornado warning that is in effect until 2:30 p.m. local time. The lightning output on this storm has been certainly one that has been more impressive than the other storms that we're tracking on this Thursday afternoon. And I'm not seeing anything there on the correlation coefficient, which is certainly a good thing. When we look at correlation coefficient, that lets us know if debris is being lofted into the sky. At least that's one indicator of when you have a confirmed tornado. But at this point, we're not seeing that. But no doubt, with the velocity signature that we are seeing on radar, you can see that here, no doubt that that signature could be producing a tornado coming into Bromley and Blakely State Park over the next few minutes, imminently. It just can't be stressed enough. If you are near the Blakely State Park or Bromley along 225, this thing is on your doorstep now, right now. You don't need to be out driving on 225 in your neighborhood. I know that we've got many smaller neighborhoods north of Spanish Fort, but again, the concern is because of this potential tornado. And I have to say, just because the signature on velocity looks a bit less impressive than previous frames, that doesn't mean that this thing won't ramp right back up. We're going to have to see if it does ramp back up over the next few minutes. So again, no driving on 225. Alabama Highway 225, that is, over the next few minutes as a possible tornado is moving in from the east. And again, let me stress, Pritchard, Mobile, Chickasaw, Saraland, Satsuma, Creola. No tornado risk for you. We did have the tornado warning in effect for Pritchard and areas near Mobile earlier, but that is now off of the board. The Weather Service has clipped those areas out of the tornado warning, and it clearly is in effect for parts of Baldwin County right here along Alabama Highway 225. So again, Pritchard and Mobile get an all clear at this point. There will be more storms over the next few hours in terms of potential brief heavy downpours of rain, lots of lightning in the stronger storms. But again, I think that overall the severe weather risk is going to remain pretty low. For those folks that just may be tuning in as of 2:14 p.m., we just got this update a matter of moments ago from the Storm Prediction Center, and they have opted to include parts of Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia County, Alabama, Escambia County, Florida, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, Walton, and Covington counties in their level 1 out of 5 marginal severe weather risk. This has just been introduced, and it's because the atmosphere is a bit more volatile and unstable than previously thought. And so I think that's a good call. We were watching some storms earlier in the Gulf of Mexico, the northern Gulf, down around Gulf Breeze earlier. That was a bit earlier. And those storms were indeed rotating. And so on a day like today, we're not expecting a major tornado outbreak or anything like that. However, there could be a few brief spin-up tornadoes, just like this one that's coming into areas near Bromley over the next few minutes, just like that. Again, current time is now 2:15 p.m. I'm meteorologist Spinks Megginson. Thanks for watching our coverage on this Thursday afternoon. Again, kind of a surprise tornado warning on a day where we had the general thunderstorms, the non-severe weather risk in place for our region. And now, because this storm has ramped up to a severe level capable of producing a tornado, we now have a low-end severe weather risk in place across the southern half of our local area. Let's zoom in real tight on this. And again, your possible tornado, I realize we're super tight. This is a tiny, tiny tornado warning polygon. And your possible tornado is going to be riding through here, basically over Alabama Highway 225 at this point, right here, near Steam Mill Landing and also Blakely State Park. Here's Bromley right here. That line right there is Alabama Highway number 225 that connects Spanish Fort back up to the interstate, and ultimately areas there to the east of the Dolly Parton Bridge. But again, Spanish Fort is not included in this tornado warning. If you're in Spanish Fort, you are okay. The threat is clearly to your north. And just to talk about some of the street names involved in through here, you've got Lake Boulevard, which is right here, Lake Boulevard. If you live on Lake Boulevard, you are involved in an active tornado warning. Same thing on the areas near Blakely Road. Also, for those of you that are familiar with this area, you know that there's the Veterans Cemetery. It's a very well-kept facility with the white crosses to honor all of the fallen veterans in this area. If you know where that is, right in through here, that large veteran cemetery with all those white crosses, that is under the crosshairs from this possible tornado. Again, the Veterans Cemetery is about 5 miles north of Spanish Fort here along Alabama Highway 225, very near Bromley. And so we need you to be in that tornado safe place over the next few minutes. What else is out here? You've got the St. John's Catholic Church. That's right in through here on Alabama Highway 225. If you know where that is, St. John's Catholic Church, north of Spanish Fort out here on 225, you are involved. If you live within, say, 3 miles of that church, you're involved in this active tornado warning box that's valid until 2:30 local time. Let's get back over to the velocity product quickly. And still, this is showing signs of rotation. This thunderstorm right in through there, your possible tornado would most likely be there under that X mark, and it's basically over Alabama Highway 225 at this point, moving off to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Spanish Fort is here. The elementary school sits right here. And so like I said about 10 minutes ago, if you are at the elementary school in Spanish Fort, while technically you are not included in the tornado warning polygon, you are so close that if you took all the kids and even did a tornado drill at this point, I think that's a wise course of action, as you are so close, and this is such a small tornado warning box that I wouldn't fault you for that. A course of least regret says do that. So again, at Spanish Fort, you are okay. Same thing at Daphne and Bell Forest. Fairhope has nothing to do with you. If you are watching from Bay Minette, you are also okay. Yes, there have been bouts of heavy rain over the last little bit in areas near Bromley and Stapleton. Rain going to increase in areas near Stapleton over the next few minutes as this storm moves in. And let's kind of talk about this downrange area, because there's no active tornado warning as of 2:19 p.m. for Stapleton or areas near the golf course here at Holly Hills. Same thing at Steelwood, the country club right here. No active tornado warning for now, but those three places, the Holly Hills golf course, which is the Bay Minette golf course, back down to Steelwood, another golf course, Stapleton, where the road forks off. You got the big water tower and the Tom Thumb right there at Stapleton. Those areas are next in line if this storm holds its strength past Blakely State Park and Bromley. So again, putting you on notice in those areas if you are driving this afternoon or about to drive on Alabama Highway 59 from Bay Minette back down to Loxley at the interstate there, Interstate 10. Be ready, as you could be next. There could be a possible tornado warning coming in the next 10 minutes or so for parts of central Baldwin County. We keep getting in new radar data here, and let's go back over to the velocity product, because again, this signature has broadened out somewhat. No doubt that the storm is still rotating, and it could be producing a tornado right along Alabama Highway 225 right here near Blakely State Park and near Bromley. But again, the signature has sort of weakened some over the last few frames. Let's look at it on this radar. And if I back this up on the classic reflectivity view, you'll see that the deal is the signature on reflectivity anyway. Look at that hook echo. I mean, look at that. That is just classic right there. And when you see a hook on the reflectivity like that, your possible tornado would be right in through here. And so we're hearing unconfirmed reports that certain media outlets have seen a tornado on the ground out here over the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta. That signature would certainly support that claim, as with a hook echo like that, certainly just something you pray you never ever see. But again, over the last few frames, the storm has really, it looks less impressive. Now, lightning is still a concern with this storm. You're hearing quite a bit of thunder, most likely, if you're at Spanish Fort or near Crossroads or near Bromley and Blakely State Park. But again, the tornado risk is for areas near Bromley and Blakely State Park only, and not at Spanish Fort and Crossroads. Let's go back over to the reflectivity product. And again, we just said this a minute ago, but for folks in Holly Hills, Stapleton, Steelwood, and I say in Holly Hills, if you're at that golf course, which is on the western side of Alabama Highway 59 there south of Bay Minette, be ready, because these would be the next areas to have a tornado warning. The concern right now is here near Bromley. This storm continues to move off to the east, and there could be a slight northward component of motion, which would put the thing really going over the core areas of Bromley. And like we've been talking about, there's so many smaller neighborhoods out here north of Spanish Fort. Let's take down the banner for a moment just so I can kind of show you that in action. Again, possible tornado would be right in through here over Alabama Highway 225. That's this line here. This is the northern part of Spanish Fort. And so, again, this tornado warning is to the north of Spanish Fort, but no driving right now on 225. You've got the community right here. Lake Boulevard is right here. You've got areas near the St. John's Catholic Church, which is right here on the west side of 225. If you live near those areas, this possible tornado is near you right now. And most likely what's happening, you're probably hearing some gusty winds outside as this system moves by from west to east. In about 8 minutes, we will get the end of this tornado warning. So what I want to do is zoom out across our region and see what else is going on, just because we've been focused in on this storm for the last 30 minutes or so since this tornado warning came on the board. So what we've got going on, these are small storms, and some of these are supercellular in nature, meaning they could ramp up over the next few hours and turn severe. The concern today is going to be brief spin-up tornadoes, very similar to what we saw about a week ago. Same type thing, cold front approaching from the northwest, you've got warm air surging out ahead of it, and with that said, this area is now involved in a low end, level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk zone, and that's going to be valid through at 10 p.m. tonight. And the deal is, the reason this tornado or possible tornado happened to spin up with very little warning is because we've got an environment that has more instability in the atmosphere than expected. And so if you are in Citronelle, Mobile, Bruton, Atmore, areas near Bratt, Pensacola, Berrydale, Crestview, Destin, Fort Walton Beach, all those areas now have a low-end severe weather risk that's in place through the evening hours. Once we start losing the daytime instability, this overall very low-end severe weather risk will come to an end. Let's go back into our tornado warning. That's why we are here. And again, the current time is at 2:24 p.m. And so in 6 minutes, we will get a definitive answer, yes or no, as to if the Weather Service is going to allow this tornado warning to expire or if it's going to be continued into central Baldwin County. We all know that on a day like today, these storms ramp up and they ramp down. And so with that said, this storm looks to be ramping down at this point. The signature is certainly much more broad than it once was. We do note that there is quite a bit of lightning in place in this small storm that's affecting areas mainly to the north of Spanish Fort on Alabama Highway 225. And based on that look, if this trend continues, I would suggest we most likely will get an expiration of the tornado warning. We'll know more in about 5 minutes, but again, as a course of least regret, we encourage everyone near Bromley, near Blakely State Park. If you live within, say, 3 miles of those areas, Blakely State Park is here, Bromley is here, you've got St. John Catholic Church right here, this is Alabama Highway 225 here, the Veterans Memorial Cemetery is right in through here. All those areas that I just called out, perhaps you're just now tuning in, those are the areas under the gun from a possible tornado moving in from the west, moving off to the east, just like that. Possible tornado is going to be right in through here. This is so close to Spanish Fort, but because of the trajectory of this storm, Spanish Fort and Malbus are not included in this tornado warning that is valid for the next 4.5 minutes until 2:30 p.m. So again, you are okay if you're at Spanish Fort, Malbus, Daphne, Montrose, Fairhope, even Steelwood and Stapleton at this point. You are okay. Loxley as well. All those areas are outside of the polygon, and areas near Bromley at this point are inside the polygon. Let me also stress, for the folks back in Mobile and Pritchard, areas near Crayola and Satsuma, all those areas are outside of this warning polygon. These areas were involved earlier in the tornado warning that was in effect for Mobile County. The thing really started ramping up right here near the Africatown-Cochran Bridge, and as it has moved to the east, it ramped up out here over the delta, and it has since ramped back down as it has really moved inland here across the west central part of Baldwin County. So again, the current time is now 2:26 p.m. I'm meteorologist Spinks Megginson. We want to thank you for watching our coverage this afternoon. Again, like we've been talking about, the environment is a little more ripe and favorable for the potential for a few tornadoes this afternoon, primarily in Mobile, Baldwin counties, as well as Escambia County, Alabama, southern Covington, and all three of our northwest Florida counties, Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa. We'll come back and show you that newly introduced low-end risk zone in just a moment. But again, we are here because of this. This is an active tornado warning polygon for the next 3 minutes. And the concern now is near Bromley. This possible tornado is right in through here on the back flank of this small supercell storm that has ramped up over the last hour or so as it continues its trek off to the east. Like we mentioned a minute ago, if you are at Holly Hills Golf Course, Steelwood, the Steelwood Country Club here, Stapleton, areas near that big water tower, and Tom Thumb gas station there where the roads split. This is US Highway 31, this is Alabama Highway 59. Those areas that I just called out, be on guard because this storm is moving your way over the next 5 to 10 minutes. While there's no official tornado warning out for those 3 areas yet, that would be next in line. Those areas would be next in line where we could see another warning issued over at the next few minutes. Let's go back to a video that was sent in about 20 minutes ago on Facebook. This is going to be from J8s, and that's spelled Jayyates. He is a gentleman down in Mobile, and I think that we can go ahead and pull that up on the iPad. While we do that, we want to thank all the folks who have sent in views on the RedZone Weather app this evening. That's in the share tab. You can always send us photos if you are near these storms. We never, ever advise anyone to go out and get pictures, but after we give you an all clear, it's always helpful to have ground truth photos of what's happening with these storms. So again, as we approach 2:30 p.m., kind of a defining moment here to see if the Weather Service issues a tornado warning for central Baldwin County next. We've got this video from Blakely Island is where J8 was a minute ago, and we'll pull that up for you now so that you can see exactly what happened in Mobile County that triggered this tornado warning. There we go. And I want to call your attention to this area right in through here at the base of what could be this possible tornado. We'll continue the video there. There doesn't have to be a condensation funnel. In other words, what we know is a classic tornado, there doesn't have to be that connection from the clouds down to the earth. If you see an area of rotation there on the ground of debris that's being lofted, there is a tornado in place. In fact, you can kind of see those little leaves and whatever being lofted into that, what could be a possible tornado there. This was about 30 minutes ago taken at Blakely Island near Mobile, and we believe that is what triggered the tornado warning. So again, looking at a situation where in a matter of moments, the Weather Service is going to have to make a decision. In fact, as of 2:30 p.m., looking at all our sources here, I'm not seeing anything that suggests a new warning being imminent. And so what we want to do, we're going to hang out here for the next few minutes just to make sure this storm doesn't ramp back up. Let's actually go back over to the velocity product, and you'll see that the warning box has gone away. And so as of 2:30 p.m. on this Thursday, we have no active tornado warnings for any part of South Alabama or Northwest Florida. I think that's a good call because this signature has broadened out somewhat. Alabama 225 is right here. This is Alabama Highway 59 right there. And so what was a tornado warned storm is now no longer under a warning, but heavy rain is about to begin along the Alabama Highway 59 corridor. We'll go back over to the reflectivity, and yeah, this thing has really broadened out over the last few frames. So here's what I want to do before we get out of your hair. Our tornado warning coverage is about to come to an end. However, let's look across the region to talk about what you can expect over the next few hours. Small storms going to continue to form and move off to the east. the Storm Prediction Center has introduced a level 1 out of 5 low-end severe weather risk that is in place until about 10 o'clock tonight for the southern half of our region. And so these storms in through here, while most of them are going to be okay and we're not going to have any major issues, be aware that we could have more rotation areas in some of the stronger storms that could ramp up and produce a brief spin-up tornado. If we have more tornado warnings, we'll come straight back on Facebook Live and in the RedZone Weather app to bring you the latest. Very heavy rain is about to start in areas near Andalusia, areas near Carolina and Pleasant Home. You've also got a shower here approaching the Bruton Municipal Airport and Riverview. Storms also happening near Bratt, areas near Walnut Hill. Those storms moving to the east. You've also got heavier rain down here near Fort Walton Beach and Mary Esther. That's pushing off to the east. And storms also coming into Mobile County from back here in Mississippi from Greene and George counties. We'll keep an eye on these over the next few hours. Again, I promised you that we'd show you this graphic from the Storm Prediction Center. A low-end severe weather risk is in place for parts of Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia County, Alabama, Covington County, Alabama. You've also got Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton counties involved. Anywhere you see this green shading, Mobile, Dauphin Island, Bay Minette, areas near Loxley, Daphne, Fairhope, Gulf Shores, Pensacola, Century, Berrydale, Jay, Bruton, East Bruton, Atmore, all involved in the low end level 1 out of 5. In other words, this is a marginal severe weather risk. Most of us not going to have any severe weather issues today, but we could have a few more strong storms like we just had in Mobile and Baldwin counties over the next few hours. Because we have no active tornado warnings, we're going to say goodbye for now. If we have more, we'll be straight back on Facebook Live bringing you the very latest. On behalf of all of us at RedZone Group LLC, I'm Spinks Megginson saying goodbye for now. Hope you have a good afternoon. We will see you soon.